Welcome to the No Budget Indie Filmcast, where we dip into the independent film universe to highlight those little films that you might not have heard about elsewhere. We agree with our panel? Will our panel agree with each other? Tune in to find out. I am Milo Dennison, and with me, as always, is Claire Milan
Hello.
and Carl Halfini.
Hello.
All right, Carl, what did we watch this week?
This week we watched a film called Trepidation, which is directed by Dev Stafford and written by Lindita and Dev Stafford and stars Victoria Rooney. It is an American short film. It's quite short, about 4 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes, and it's set in a school, and we just focus on this one character, this woman, our teenager girl, and she's just in the class, and there's no dialogue. There's just a lot of sort of imagery and sound, and it's really just about her fear, her existential fear of a school shooting, being shot. So you see, like I said, some imagery, like the pencil there behind me looks like a bullet casing. You might hear a sound of a what you call a stapler. Sounds like a gunshot, and the sort of the music is suspenseful, kind of eerie, and it just goes to create this atmosphere of which speaks to her fear, and that is the film really. So I mean, I picked it because I was going to say because it's topical in one respect, but it's always topical. But obviously there was a recent shooting, and it's something I suppose you don't really think about. Well, this part of the world we don't think about it anyway. But like you read about these constant shootings, and I only heard a stat recently. I think it's the 45th school shooting this year, and you don't necessarily think on the mental toll it has on students, uh, and obviously it does. And so there's something else as well. This won the Audience Award in South by Southwest in 2019. South by Southwest is in Texas, in Austin, Texas. Okay, that's kind of very, it's a bit of an oasis, a liberal oasis. But the fact that it did win that award shows that this is something that resonates with people, a lot of young people, I suppose. So it is a case that it's something people do think about, but it's just it just seems to be something that nothing can be done about it. But as far as the film is concerned, it's very good. It's very well done, very well made, very very simple, and it does very well in creating this sort of atmosphere is kind of dread and suspense.
Yeah, and it's scary to think that like we're only getting well here in Ireland anyway, and probably in the UK as well. We don't hear about all those shootings. We only hear about the big ones. And as you said, how many shootings a year in the US? 50
Well, I
something.
mean, there's one for every day of the year, but this is just specifically schools. Like there's the 45th
Yeah,
school shooting.
school shootings. It's quite shocking and scary and terrifying. And what's really good about that is very simple and it's low budget, but it's the sound effects and there's one moment where there's a guy and he's stapling stuff and it sounds like a gun, and you see a gun in the back. He turns around in the kind of a shape of a gun, and his trousers, and just the music and the anticipation. Yeah, it was very well done. I just wish there was more to it. I was hoping there was a bit more to it, because it kind of ended suddenly. It's like, oh, is that it? But I think it has an important message, and I did like the sound effects of it, and it does make you think. And it's horrific the amount of school shootings that happen in the US.
I don't know if it's still the case, but we were on track to have the most mass shootings in a single year this year. Like if the record continues at the rate that they're going, and it's gotten so commonplace that you really don't hear about it in the news anymore. Uh,
God,
yeah,
that's
so that's why
shocking.
you don't hear it in the news
Is
over
that
here,
it?
and it's the same over
Okay.
there. It's just gotten
Oh.
so prevalent, and it's
Mm.
really frustrating that these people are so extreme on their like must have guns misinterpretation of the Second Amendment, to whereas like you could still potentially have firearms safely and with restrictions, right? To drive a car, you need to take lessons and get a license and prove your ability to like not kill people in the car. Yet to get a gun, you can go down to your local shop and buy one, with nothing. And it's just ridiculously stupid. It's there's a lot of causes to the problem. There's also education and social influences. But in regards to this film, yeah, clearly this is made for one purpose, which is to say, hey, school shootings are bad. And it's a bit in your face, which I kind of turned me off a little bit, but it is made really well. And especially you could imagine a person who's really worried and paranoid seeing things that aren't necessarily there. And people do that sometimes anyways, right? Like you think you're walking down the street and it's a dark late night and there's somebody walking across on the other side of the road, and suddenly in your head it's like, oh, they're suspicious, maybe they're that kind of stuff. And so if you're worried about that, of course you're going to see, a lump in somebody's back pocket that makes them think of a gun, or sounds that make you think suddenly, oh shit, a school shooting's going off. So it's really, yeah, I'm really sympathetic to the cause. And for me, like in growing up in the US, it never in high school did something like this enter our mind. And then talking to somebody I know that son's in high school, it's like they talk about they do, like mass shooting drills, like if there's a mass shooting, this is what you have to do. And it's like, oh, it's insane. They're like, oh, what we need to, the reason why there's all these mass shootings is because teachers don't have guns. Let's give all the teachers guns. And it's like, yeah, that's a good idea. Sure. That'll solve the problem. Yes. Yeah. So I have an opinion on the subject,
Yeah.
but in regards to the film, yeah, it wasn't so much a film. I kind of agree, Claire. There really wasn't a film here. This was like a
No.
public service announcement. This is
Yes,
like,
it's an
hey,
educational video, I thought.
yeah,
It felt
exactly.
like an educational video or public service announcement. I
Yeah.
just wanted there to be a kind of a story. There was no
Mhm.
real story as such. It was just a message and in your
Yeah.
face a little bit. It's unusual it won the Audience Award in South by Southwest. It's a very prestigious film festival.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, seriously, did they have, I mean, nothing against this film, short
Yeah,
and message and all that, but like, yeah, it's not a film for a film festival.
no, no, it's not at all. It's something you'd seen in an ad, maybe.
Yeah,
That's what threw
totally.
me a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
it's a terrible message, but it's not a film,
Mhm.
really. Like a film, as in like a short film you'd seen film festivals with a story, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
but it's anti-school shooting, so we'll give it an award.
Yes. Yeah.
obviously they would have had to accept it into a festival too, but just shows to show you how strong they feel about it. Um, and like we're talking today is September 11th, famous
Yes.
famous
Yes.
date,
Oh, yeah.
and
Mm.
the presidential debate was with
Yesterday.
Harrison Trump was last evening in the US, and the it was used as an attack line by by Trump against Harris. She wants to take your guns away, and she just said, "Look, I own a gun. Tim Walz owns a gun," and that was it. But they can't even debate it. Like, they're afraid to actually talk about this topic because it's they just it's so toxic. They're afraid to be of of losing votes over it. I mean, it's so crazy the that the whole kind of atmosphere around it is it's just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous because that's exactly the argument, right? The right is like, they're going to take your guns away. We need guns. And the left is so scared because if like they say, yeah, actually, let's put restrictions on guns, like the gun lobby will be all over them and, get them out of lose elections. And so everybody's so scared of this. And it's again, it's a vocal minority that has so much control that like people are scared to do anything about it. And you get these shootings and everybody's like, thoughts and prayers. Oh no, it's too early to talk legislation. Let's just give our thoughts and prayers to the people that were killed and their families, but we won't actually do anything about it.
Mm. I mean, you have to think there's going to have to come a tipping point at some stage. Maybe like the younger generation goes, I mean, you just said it there, like the current generation. Uh, it's something that it's talked about much more. Uh, it's felt much more. Um, I there was somebody I sort of I don't I didn't actually meet him, but I heard about recently, and somebody who moved to Ireland from the US, and basically he moved because of the gun violence in the US. Yeah, and I'm sure he's like him and his family. I'm sure he's not the only one, and I think my sisters were talking to she has friends in the US, and they were like picking schools for their children, and they were looking at which is the best school to go to from a gun safety point of view. Which
Yeah.
school can I send my kids to where they're least likely to get shot? I mean,
Oh my God.
it's just completely ridiculous. And if there's any sanity in the country, that did this a long time ago.
Yeah, if there
Yeah.
is something that's going to happen, it's going to be a generation or two down the road. Like it's certainly not going to happen. I doubt within my lifetime. I really do. Like I don't think there's going to be enough. There's not going to be enough political willpower from the people in office to actually do something. And they've got an extremely conservative Supreme Court right now, which even if they try to pass some gun restriction laws nationally, it'll end up getting taken to the Supreme Court that would then boot it out. So I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Yeah. I mean, and as regards to film, like, I mean, were you were you thinking that there should have been something happen, like there should have been an incident, or because I think that was one of the strengths of it. It just focused on the psychology of the students, and there wasn't. I don't think there was much more you could do about it.
Yeah.
Really.
No, I agree. I don't think you needed to have something happen, but I do think you needed to have more than a message at the end that says, gun violence is a problem in America. And you're
Mm.
like, yeah, no shit. Like, thanks for putting that into a film with a bunch of extreme close-ups. Like,
But I mean, it
great.
wasn't just that the violence is the problem. It's as you said, like it's the psychological effect it's having on students. Like,
Mm.
uh, you
I
should be
mean, I think
going.
there could be more of a story, even using that premise. Like it's fascinating, just the fear she has, and seeing things that are possibly not there. But I just thought oh Jesus, is that all there is to it? I'd loved more. She seemed like a very good actress as well. I'd love to see more of a story, around this. It was just too much like an advertisement or
Yeah.
public service messaging.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. It's like,
Yeah.
let's learn about like why specifically she's feeling this paranoia. Was there a shooting in the school? Was there not? Is it just
Yeah.
because she's always on her phone on the news and saying the
Yeah.
news, what do her friends think if she were to talk about this to her friends or parents or something like that? What's the school's policies? Like you could really build this story out into like a real a story rather than, she's paranoid, gun
And
violence
I
is
just
bad.
thought that it was interesting because I didn't get this, but the heading in the screen grab or the phone she has is in Texas school shooting, 10 dead, 10 hurt, and many unsurprised. What does many unsurprised mean?
And they're like, yeah, of course.
And
That
many
person seemed like
unsurprised.
they might come in and shoot us up someday, so we're not surprised.
I never heard of unsurprised, that word. Many unsurprised.
Yeah.
Many
Yeah, it's
unsurprised.
something that as we said, it's the 45th this year, so
Yeah.
why would you be surprised? Because it's happening all the time.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's basically
Yeah.
saying, yeah, I kind of expected something like this to happen at some point.
Yeah.
So now that it's
Unsurprised.
happened, I guess, you know.
Mm.
It's like a giant game of Russian roulette.
Mhm.
Really.
Yeah.
Which school is
Mm.
going to be next? And okay, I take your point that it is just felt like a sort of an ad, but the beauty of that, maybe I shouldn't use that word, but the advantage of that is that more people will watch it. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it
Mm.
shows it like you can talk about this and you can debate it and you can have reams of articles about it. But sometimes, a film, a short narrative piece like this can hit home in a way that
Yeah. It
feels
definitely
of,
makes you think anyway. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's certainly something kids should be sharing with their parents,
Yeah.
because their parents are the ones who are voting
yeah,
and putting people into office and being like, look, as a student, because parents are like, I wasn't worried about this when I was a kid, so obviously you shouldn't be either. And it's like, no, it's a different generation.
yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
I know.
So
Hmm.
there we are.
Yeah, it's a tough topic.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, well, should we vote on it then?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, go for it, Claire.
So for me, it wasn't really a short film. I thought she seemed like a very good actress. It's a very important message. I just wanted more to it. And it's a bit more like a public service announcement. I'm just going to give it 2 stars.
Ooh, harsh. I
Yeah.
actually was leaning towards a 2 star as well, actually. But calls convinced me to up it to 3 stars.
Oh, okay.
Yay.
And yeah, but I totally agree with what you just said, Claire. It's a public service announcement. It's not a film.
Mm,
And
mhm.
if we were rating public service announcements, I would give it a higher rating.
Oh, yeah.
But since we're rating films, I'm going with 3.
Mhm.
So why can't a public service announcement be a film? Uh, I I mean, I think it was a bit harsh. Like I thought it was very well done. Like some of the imagery they use is very good. And it does hit home. Had a message to deliver, and it delivered it. Very well. So for what it was trying to achieve, it achieved it. So I'll give it 4 stars.
All
Oh,
right.
very different. So 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, mixed bag on this one.
Mm.
Well, I guess that's a good thing then if people are discussing it and disagreeing on it, it's worth watching. Well, audience, let us know what you think. It's called Trepidation. You should check it out. And it's certainly an important issue that you should be having, especially if you have children or are a child and should have with your parents. Let us know what you think. You can reach us on social media at No Budget Show on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or just leave a comment in the notes below. And with that, we'll say see you next time and goodbye.
Bye.
Right.